Alright, we're back on YouTube. With the legacy of the notorious one, the Notorious B.I.G. B.I.G. is stood for business instead of game. I had to go do part two of his legacy, similar than the first one from last year. I'm gonna go through his Wikipedia with no music and no documentary. This is Christopher. This is Christopher George Latore Wallace, better known by his stage names like the Notorious B.I.G. or Biggie Smalls or simply Biggie, was an American rapper rooted in East Coast hip hop and particularly, rough gangster elements, gangster rap. He's cited in various media lists as one of the greatest rappers of all time. GROAT, that's one of them. Wallace became known for his distinctive, laid-back, lyrical delivery, offsetting the lyrics, often grim content. His music was so often semi-autobiographical, autobiographical, of telling of the hardship and criminality, but also the of debauchery and celebration. Born and raised in Brooklyn, New York, Wallace was signed to Sean Puffy Combs' label Bad Boy Records as it launched in 1993 and gained exposure through features on other on other several on several other artists' singles that year. His debut album Ready to Die uh, was met with widespread critical acclaim and included his signature songs like Juicy and Big Papa. They're like an international smash though. The album made him the central figure in East Coast hip hop and restored New York's visibility at a time where the West Coast hip hop scene was dominating hip hop music. Wallace was awarded the 1995 Billboard Music Awards Rapper of the Year. The following year, he led his protege group, Junior Mafia. Yeah, Junior Mafia. Well, or it's probably Junior Mafia, a team of himself and longtime friends, including Lil Kim, to chart success. During 1996, while recording his second album, Wallace became ensnarled in the escalating East Coast West Coast hip hop feud following Tupac Shakur's murder in a drive-by shooting in Las Vegas in September of 1996. Speculations of involvement in Shakur's murder by criminal elements orbiting the bad boy circle circulated uh, as a result of Wallace's public feud with Shakur. On March 9th, 1997, 6 months after Shakur's murder, 6 months after the murder of Tupac, Biggie was murdered by, yeah, I'll tell you, Biggie was murdered by an unidentified assailant in a drive-by shooting while visiting LA. Wallace's second album, Life After Death, a double album, was released. Was released. The 2 weeks later, it reached number one on the Billboard 200 and eventually achieved a diamond certification in the US, with two more posthumous albums released that Wallace has certified sales of over 28 million copies in the US, including 21 million albums. Rolling Stone had called him the greatest rapper that ever lived, or Billboard will name him the greatest rapper of all time. Source magazine already named him that in a 150th issue, but in 2006, MTV ranking him at number 3 on their list of the greatest MCs of all time, calling him possibly the most skillful ever on the mic. In 2020, he was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Let's go to the early life and career of Christopher Wallace. He was born at St. Mary's Hospital in the New York City borough of Brooklyn on May 21st, 1972. The only child of Jamaican immigrant parents, his mother Boletta Wallace and a preschool teacher was a preschool teacher. Yeah, everybody knows Boletta Wallace, man. She was a preschool teacher. She had a job as a teacher at a school, at a local school. While his father, Selwyn George Latore, who was a welder and a politician, his father left the family when Wallace was 2 years old, and his mother worked two jobs while raising him alone. Wallace grew up at 226 St. James Place in Brooklyn's Clinton Hill, near the border of Bedford Stuyvesant, near the border with what's it called, the Bedford Stuyvesant. That's short for Bed-Stuy. Raised Catholic, Wallace excelled at the Queen of All Saints Middle School, winning several awards as an English student. He attended St. Peter Claver Church in the borough. He was nicknamed Big because he was overweight. By the age of 10, Wallace claimed to have begun dealing drugs at the age of 12. His mother often at work. He first learned of this. His mother first learned of this during he yeah, why do you think he did? Did Big first learn all this during his childhood or his adulthood? Began rapping as a teenager, entertaining people on the streets of Brooklyn, and he performed with the local groups, the Old Gold Brothers, as well as the Techniques. His earliest stage name was earliest his earliest stage name had to be his MC name. The first one was MC Quest. MC Quest. At his request, Wallace transferred from Bishop Laughlin Memorial High School in Fort Greene to George Westinghouse Career and Technical Education High School in downtown Brooklyn, which future rappers like such as Jay-Z and Busta Rhymes were also attending. According to his mother, Wallace was still a good student, but developed a smart ass attitude. Wow, a smart ass attitude, huh? At the new school, at the age of 17 in 1989, younger Wallace dropped out of high school and became more involved in the criminal activities. In the same year, in 1989, he was arrested on weapons charges in Brooklyn and sentenced to 5 years probation. In 1990, he was arrested on a violation of his probation. A year later, Wallace was arrested in North Carolina for dealing crack cocaine. He spent 9 months in jail before making bail. Let's go there with the early career and being a father. After release from jail, after his release from jail, Wallace made a demo tape, Microphone Murderer, while calling himself Biggie Smalls. That's alluding to the character that Calvin Lockhart had portrayed in Let's Do It Again. It's a 1975 film. And to Biggie's own stature and obesity, 6 feet 3 inches and 300 to 380 pounds. Although Wallace reportedly lacked real ambition for the tape, local DJ Mr. C and of Big Daddy Kane, what's his name? Big Daddy Kane and Juice Crew Association. This, I mean, this was what the Juice Crew back in the day. That's a young Roxanne Shante whose real name was Shante Gooden. She's sort of become a mom now, so she's like a mom, so she had a baby, she had a child to raise. It's her with the rest of the Juice Crew. This Juice Crew there. I think MC Shan was with the rest of the guys. It was an American hip hop collective that was made up largely of Queensbridge, New York. Based on artists in the mid to late 1980s, founded by a radio DJ named Mr. Magic, rest in peace, and housed by Tyrone Williams' record label Cold Chillin' Records. That's all they do. That's all they do. Let me see this. Let me read this again. Although Wallace reportedly lacked real ambition for the tape, local DJ Mr. C of Big Daddy Kane and Juice Crew Association discovered and promoted it. Thus, it was heard by the Source Rap Magazine's editor in 1992. In March, the Source column Unsigned Hype. Let me rephrase again, because I slurred too much on my words. Uh, in March, the Source column Unsigned Hype, dedicated to airing promising rappers, featured Wallace. He then spun the attention into a recording upon hearing the demo tape. Sean Puffy Combs, still with the A&R department of Uptown Records, arranged to meet Wallace, promptly signed to Uptown. Wallace appeared on label mates Heavy D and the Boys' 1993 song, A Bunch of Niggas. Yeah, that's what it's called, A Bunch of Niggas. Not Niggers, just Niggas. A bunch of niggas. That song got put on DJ OP's mixtape. Mid-year, or a year after Wallace's signing Uptown, and Andre Harrell fired Combs on the spot, who a week later launched Bad Boy Records. Instantly, Wallace's new label until the summer of August 8th, 1993. Looks like Tiana had the same birthday as my sister, most of all. Looks like my sister and Biggie's daughter had the same birthday. On August 8th, On August 8th, 1993, Jan Jackson, Wallace's longtime girlfriend, which they she used to go to school with. Remember, they used to go to school together. As kids. Yeah, Jan Jackson, Wallace's longtime girlfriend, which that he used to go to school with. When they were younger. Gave birth to his first child, Tiana. Although the couple had parted by then, himself a high school dropout, Wallace promised his daughter everything that she wanted, reasoning that if only he had that in childhood he would have graduated at the top of his class. Wallace he continued dealing drugs, but Combs discovered this and obliged him to stop. Later that year, Wallace gained exposure on a remix of Mary J. Blige's single "Real Love" that came from the What's the 411 album. That came from the What's the 411 album. Having found his moniker Biggie Smalls, already claimed, he took a new one holding for good. He turned to the Notorious B.I.G. That's B.I.G means what B.I.G means. B is for business. I and G is for instead of game. Around this time, Wallace became friends with fellow rapper Tupac Shakur. Lil C's were called the pair as close, often traveling together. Whenever they were not working, according to him, Wallace as a frequent guest at Shakur's home, and they spent time together. When Shakur was in California or Washington D.C., Yuckmouth in Oakland, MC, claimed that Wallace's style was inspired by Shakur. The Real Love remix single was followed by another remix of a Mary J. Blige song, "What's the 411?" Wallace's successes continued, if to a lesser extent, on remixes of Nene Cherry's song "Buddy X" and of reggae artist Supercat's song "Dolly My Baby." And everybody else knew about the song. Also featuring Combs on 1993. In April, Wallace's solo track is called "Party and Bullshit." It's called "Party and Bullshit." Was released on the Who's the Man soundtrack. In July of 1994, he appeared alongside LL Cool J. Yo, let's go push the name. Let's push the name. LL Cool J and Busta Rhymes on a remix of his own label mates label mates Craig Mack's "Flavor in Your Ear." The remix reaching number 9 on the Billboard Hot 100. And let's go to "Ready to Die." Let's go to "Ready to Die" for a minute. Uh, on August 4th, 1994, Wallace married R&B singer Faith Evans, whom he had met 8 days prior to a bad boy photo shoot. 5 days later, Wallace had his first pop chart success as a solo artist with double A side "Juicy/Unbelievable," which reached at number 27 as the lead single to his debut album. Ready to Die was released on September 13th, 1994, It reached number 13 on the Billboard 200 chart and was eventually certified 4 times platinum. The album shifted attention back to East Coast hip hop at a time when West Coast hip hop dominated the US charts. It gained strong reviews and has received much praise in retrospect. In addition to Juicy, the record produced 2 hit singles, the platinum selling Big Papa, which reached number 1 on the US rap chart, and One More Chance, which has sold 1.1 million copies in 1995. They had remixes. Yeah, remix of One More Chance. I used to hear the hip hop remix of One More Chance on radio. I heard that. I heard that one. I used to hear that on the fucking radio. Shit. I used to ride with my pops when the radio station played a hip hop remix of One More Chance on fucking radio. 94, 95, I used to ride with my pops when they played the One More Chance hip hop remix on the radio. What the fuck? Yeah, it which 1.1 million copies in 1995, which that they did with Big Papa and One More Chance. Busta Rhymes, he claimed to have seen Wallace giving out free copies of Ready to Die from his home, which Rhymes reasoned as his way of marketing himself as an artist. Wallace also befriended basketball player Shaquille O'Neal, the NBA legend. Yeah, Shaquille O'Neal, the NBA legend. O'Neal said uh, they were introduced during a listening session for Gimme the Loot. Wallace mentioned him in the lyrics and thereby attracted O'Neal to his music. O'Neal requested a collaboration with Wallace, which resulted in the song "You Can't Stop the Rain." You can't stop the rain. The song that he just did with Shaquille O'Neal. I think they did the song together. That came from Shaquille O'Neal's album. It came from Shaq's album. According to Combs, Wallace would not collaborate with anybody he didn't really respect, and that Wallace paid O'Neal his respect by shouting him out. Wallace later met with O'Neal on Sunset Boulevard in 1997, but in 2015, Daz Dillinger, a frequent Shakur collaborator, said that he and Wallace were cool. He and Wallace were cool. With Wallace traveling to meet him to smoke cannabis and record 2 songs. Oh yeah, the collaboration with Michael Jackson, Junior Mafia, and then the success and a coastal feel, like a bi-coastal war in hip hop music. Wallace worked. Christopher Wallace worked with the likes of a pop singer Michael Jackson on the song "This Time Around." This time around featured on Jackson's 1995 album History, Past, Present, and Future, Book 1. Lil C's later claimed that while Wallace met Jackson, he was forced to stay behind with Wallace, citing that he did not trust Michael Jackson with the children. Following the 1993 child sexual abuse allegations against Jackson, engineer John Van Nest and producer Dallas Austin, who was an American musician, songwriter, record producer, and film producer, recalled the sessions differently by saying that Wallace was eager to meet Jackson and nearly burst into tears upon doing so. In the summer, Wallace met Charlie Baltimore, and they became involved in a romantic relationship. Several months into their relationship, she left him a voicemail on a rap verse that she had written, and he began encouraging her to pursue a career in rap music. Wallace was booked to let's just say what Wallace was doing. He was booked to perform in Sacramento. When his group arrived at the venue, there weren't many people there, and when they started performing, performing, they were getting coins tossed at them. They were getting coins tossed at them. That was told in on a Biggie documentary. That came from an interview with his road manager, Larry Burns, who was they call him Hawk, Hawk, Hawk. Larry Burns, Biggie's road manager. He said this. When he said this shit. Wallace was it's saying that when Biggie was booked to perform in Sacktown, when his group arrived at the venue, there weren't many people there. When they started performing, they were getting coins tossed at them, one by one, coins tossed at them. When they left, they were held at gunpoint in the venue's parking lot, allegedly set up by E40's goons. It was like one of the goons was saying that, I hold a gun. It's some fucked up shit you said. Some fucked up shit. This dude said, in a Canadian journalist, Canadian magazine, about my man. We'll go get him. They were angry. Those guys were angry about an interview that Wallace did with a Canadian magazine when asked to rank a handful of artists on a scale from 1 to 10. Wallace gave E40 a 0. One of Wallace's entourage said to get E40 on the phone. E40, the Bay Area legend, on the phone. Wallace explained how they had got him drunk and had got him to say anything. E40 told his men to stand down and safely escorted them to the airport. In August of 1995, Wallace's protege Wallace's protege group, Junior Mafia, well, it's Junior Masters, is this means Junior Masters at finding intelligent attitudes. That's what it meant. Released their debut album Conspiracy. There's an album right here. I'll show you. Conspiracy. The debut studio album by the American hip hop group Junior Mafia. That stood for Junior Masters at Finding Intelligent Attitudes. The group consisted of his friends from childhood and included rappers such as Lil Kim and Lil C's, who went on to have solo careers. The record went gold and its singles Players Anthem and Get Money, both featuring Wallace, and went gold and platinum. Wallace continued to work with R&B artists that he's going to be collaborating with, or R&B groups like 112 on Only You, and Toto on the song called You Can't See, or Can't You See. that's what he used to have. That video guy used to be shown on TV. It's called "Can't You See?" That's from Total. Biggie got into Total's video, and Biggie already got on Total's video, but they got featured on the One More Chance uh hip hop remix, with both reaching the top 20 on the Hot 100 by the end of the year. Wallace was the top selling male solo artist and rapper on the US pop and R&B charts. July of 1995, he appeared on the cover of The Source with the caption, "The King of," this means "The King of New York takes over." That's what it says. That's the keys. "The King of New York takes over," quote unquote. A reference to his alias Frank White, based on a character from the 1990 film King of New York. Let me tell you, this is a movie that Christopher Walken was starred in. Okay, it came from a movie. It came from a fucking movie. The King of New York movie. King of New York movie with Christopher Walken, Lawrence Fishburne. At the Source Awards, in August 3rd, 1995, he was named the best new artist, solo lyricist of the year, live performer of the year, and his debut album of the year. Later at the Billboard Awards, he was the rap artist of the year. In his year of success, Wallace became involved in a rivalry between the East and West Coast hip hop scenes with Shakur, now his former friend. In an interview with Vibe in April of 1995, that was from a Vibe magazine. That was in a Vibe magazine. We'll show you here. That's that. They had Janet on there. They had Janet on there. Uh, while serving time in Clinton Correctional Facility, yeah, CCF, Clinton Correctional Facility. Shakur, yeah, let me tell you, Shakur accused Uptown Records founder Andre Harrell, Sean Combs, who was Harrell's former protege, and Wallace of having prior knowledge of a robbery that resulted in him being shot 5 times and losing thousands of dollars worth of jewelry, probably some rings, in a probably a watch, probably a chain or a bracelet. On the night of November 30th, 1994, that's where Biggie was working with Junior Mafia uh upstairs at Quad Recording Studios, um on the Conspiracy album. That was a Junior Mafia project. Though Wallace and his entourage were in the same Manhattan-based recording studio at the time of the shooting, you meant Quad Recording Studios. You meant QUAD, Quad Recording Studios. At the time of the shooting, they denied the accusation. They denied the accusation. Wallace has said, let me tell you, Wallace said this. It just happened to be a coincidence that he was in the studio. He just couldn't really say who really had something to do with it at the time. So he kind of just lean the blame on me. But in 2012, a man named Dexter Isaac, who was serving a life sentence for unrelated crimes, that means unrelated criminal activities, claimed that he attacked Shakur that night, and the robbery was orchestrated by entertainment industry executive and former drug trafficker James Jimmy Hinchman Rosamond. Following his release from prison, Shakur signed to Death Row Records on October 15th, 1995. This is after he got out of jail on October 12th of that year. This made Bad Boy Records and Death Row become, I don't know. Let me read. This made Bad Boy Records and Death Row business rivals, and thus intensified the quarrel. This 1996, there's more arrest accusations regarding Shakur's death, car accident, and second child. Let me go there. On March 23rd, 1996. This is around time when me and my sister had came back from my father's funeral. It took place on Rhodes Funeral Home in Uptown. Wallace was arrested. Let me see. See, Biggie Smalls. My dad had a liking to that man's music, bro. Biggie was arrested outside a nightclub in Manhattan, New York, for chasing and threatening to kill two fans who wanted to buy his album, seeking autographs and smashing the windows of their taxi cab and punching one of them. He pleaded guilty to the second degree harassment and was sentenced to 100 hours of community service. In mid 1996, he was arrested at his home in Teaneck, New Jersey. At his home in Teaneck, New Jersey, he was arrested there at his house for the drug and weapons possession charges. They got them they got for the drugs. They got for the weed and the guns. They got for the weed and the guns. They got arrested. I mean, he got arrested along with D Rock, Damian Butler, his best friend that he knew since the 80s. His best friend that he knew since the 80s and 90s. They both got arrested for drugs and got arrested for drugs and guns. During the recording of his second album, that had to be Life After Death. It had to be Life After Death. During the recording of his second album, Wallace was confronted by Shakur for the first time since the rumors started at the Soul Train Awards. I feel it was around March of '96. And a gun was pulled. And a gun was pulled. In June of 1996, Tupac had released I feel it was called "Hit 'Em Up." It was a diss track. It was a diss track in which he claimed to have had sex with Faith Evans, who was estranged. It was estranged from Biggie, especially Wallace at the time, and that Wallace had copied his style and image. Wallace referenced the first claim on Jay-Z's Brooklyn's Finest song that was from Reasonable Doubt, in which that he raps If they had twins, look around. Biggie's rhyme. If they have twins, she probably had two pox. Get two pox. That's Biggie's rhyme. However, he did not directly respond to the track, stating in a 1997 radio interview that it was not his style to respond. On September 7th, 1996, Shakur was shot multiple times in a drive-by shooting in Las Vegas and died 6 days later. Rumors of Wallace's involvement with Shakur's murder spread in a 2002 LA Times series called "Who Killed Tupac Shakur?" Based on based on the police reports and multiple sources, Chuck Phillips had reported that the shooting was carried out by a Compton gang called the Southside Crips to avenge a beating by Shakur, by Tupac hours earlier, and that Wallace had to be Biggie had paid for the gun. LA Times editor LA Times editor Mark DeWazen wrote that Phillips's story has withstood all challenges to its accuracy and remains the definitive account of the Shakur slaying, of the slaying of Shakur. Wallace's family denied the report, producing documents purporting to show that he was in New York and New Jersey at the same time. However, the New York Times called the documents inconclusive, stating the pages purport to be three computer printouts from Daddy's house, indicating that Wallace was in the studio recording a song called "Nasty Boy" on the night Shakur was shot. On the night that Shakur was shot in Vegas, they indicate that Wallace wrote half the session, was in and out, sat around and laid down a shorthand for a reference vocal, the equivalent of a first take. But nothing indicates when the documents were created, and Louis Alfred, the recording engineer listed on the sheets, said in an interview that he remembered recording the song with Wallace in a late night session. A late night session that's not during the day. He could not recall the date of the session, but said it was likely not the night Shakur was shot. We would have heard about it, said Mr. Alfred. Evans remembered her husband calling her on the night of Shakur's death, crying from shock. And crying from shock, she said, "I think it's fair to say he was probably afraid given everything that was going on at that time and all the hype that was put on this so-called beef that he didn't really have in his heart against anyone." Wallace's co-manager Wayne Barrow at the time said that Wallace was recording the track "Nasty Boy" the night Shakur was shot. Shortly after Shakur's death, he met Snoop Dogg. He met with Snoop Dogg. I feel it's after a bowl of cereal. Who claimed that Wallace declared he never hated Shakur. He never hated Tupac Shakur. 2 days after the death of Shakur, Wallace and Lil Cease were arrested for smoking marijuana in public and had their car repossessed. The next day, the dealership chose chose them a Chevy Lumina, a Chevrolet Lumina rental SUV as a substitute. Despite Lil Caesar's objections, the vehicle had brake problems, but Wallace dismissed them. The car collided with a rail in New Jersey, shattering Wallace's left leg, Lil Caesar's jaw, and leaving Charlie Baltimore with numerous injuries. All three of them going to be at the hospital. All three of them going to be at the hospital. Wallace Wallace spent months in the hospital. That's what it is. Let me say this. Wallace Wallace has spent. I'm going to tell you about this. Wallace spent months in a hospital. Following the accident, he was temporarily. Yeah, that's what he did. He was temporarily confined to a wheelchair, just like the wheelchair that Raymond Burr had to be confined to during during his during his career as an actor. Forced to use a cane and had to complete physiotherapy. Despite his hospitalization, he continued to work on the album that was Life After Death. The accident was referred to in the lyrics of Long Kiss Goodnight. That's for that's for Life After Death album that they were working on. Yeah, lyrics like you still tickle me. I used to be as strong as Whippleby till little C's cripple me. On October 29th, 1996, Evans gave birth to Wallace's son, Christopher Christopher Wallace Jr. They call him CJ. They call him CJ. The following month, Junior Mafia member Lil C, Lil not Lil C's, Junior Mafia member Lil Kim released her debut album Hardcore. Yeah, my aunt used to listen to this album. Uh, she had that album to this day. I don't even know what happened to that album. I had an MP3 version of it in my flash drive, playing my flash drive. Under Wallace's direction, while the two were having a quote unquote love affair, Lil Kim recalled being Wallace's biggest fan and quote unquote his pride and joy. His pride and joy in a 2012 interview, Lil Kim said Wallace had prevented her from making a remix of the Jodeci single "Love You for Life" by locking her in a room. According to her, Wallace said that she was not gonna uh go do no song with them, likely because of the group's affiliation with Tupac and Death Row Records. This is the Life After Death album that they were working on, that that Puffy was working on. On January 27th, 1997, Wallace was ordered to pay $41,000 in United States currency in damages following an incident involving a friend of a concert promoter who claimed Wallace and his entourage beat him following a dispute in May of 1995. He faced criminal assault charges for the incident, which remains unsolved, but all robbery charges were dropped. Following the events, Wallace spoke of a desire to focus on his peace of mind and his family and friends. February 1997, Wallace traveled to California to promote his album Life After Death. This is the cover. This is his album. It's an album cover. Let me push it all back. This is album cover, Life After Death. I think I had MP3 version of that in my media card. Uh, siphoning from the media get. Shit. Life After Death is the second album that was by the Notorious B.I.G. released on March 25th, 1997, after he died in LA. Yep, Life After Death, and to record a music video for its lead single, Hypnotize. I think my auntie had probably listened to some cassette single. They had a song, Hypnotize, that was from Life After Death album. That month that month Wallace was involved in a domestic dispute with girlfriend Charlie Baltimore. What? He got a dispute with? Oh, he got into a dispute. Oh, he got involved with a domestic dispute with Charlie Baltimore, his girlfriend. Used to be at the Four Seasons Hotel over pictures of Wallace and other girls. They ain't show no rings. They ain't show no rings that belong to Pac. They're just pictures of Wallace and pictures of Wallace and other girls. Charlie got mad over the pictures. Wallace had told Lil C's the night prior to take the bag with the photos out of the room, but he had not. Charlie Baltimore ended up throwing Wallace's ring. The ring did not belong to him. It belonged to Pac. It belonged to Tupac. Bunch of other rings. And the watch that probably belonged to Tupac as well. That probably belonged to Tupac as well. That watch, gold watch, probably Rolex. Uh, they say that Charlie Baltimore ended up throwing Wallace's ring, they aim in his, and a watch, they aim in his, from the hotel window down below. They later found the watch, but did not recover the ring. We're going to the death for a minute. On March 8th, 1997, Wallace attended the Soul Train Awards after party hosted by Vibe and Quartz Records at the Peterson Automotive Museum. That's what it is. The PAM. The Peterson Automotive Museum, including and guests included Evans, Aaliyah, and members of the Bloods and Crips gangs. The next day at 12:30 a.m. PST, after the fire department closed the party early due to overcrowding, Wallace left his entourage in two GMC Suburbans. They're like late 90s GMC Suburbans. The GMC Suburbans, it'd be two Suburbans. That'd be the green ones. Yep, Wallace left. Yep, Christopher Wallace left with his entourage in two GMC Suburbans to return to his hotel, but it was too late. He traveled in the front passenger seat, uh, alongside associates that had to be his friend Damian Butler, aka D Rock, Lil C's, who had to be his cousin in Hype Man, and driver Gregory Young. Gregory Young, they call him G Money. Combs traveled Combs traveled in the other vehicle with two bodyguards. The two trucks were trailed by a Chevy Blazer that was carrying Bad Boy director of security Paul Alford. Paul Alford. That was told in the murder rap documentary. By 12:45 a.m., the streets were crowded with people leaving the party. Wallace's SUV stopped at the red light 50 yards from the Peterson Automotive Museum, and a black SS Chevy Impala is Impala. Well, not, you talk about now. See the picture. It's a picture of a red Impala. So see that one only got New York on it. I don't know where they got it from. Let me explain this. And a black SS Chevy Impala pulled up alongside it. The Impala's driver, an unidentified African American man dressed in a blue suit and bow tie, rolled down his window, drew a 9mm blue steel pistol, and fired at Wallace's car. Bam, 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 bam. Hit Wallace. Them four bullets just hit Wallace. The four bullets just hit Wallace like this. The four bullets just fucking probably hit Wallace. Probably hit Wallace like probably hit Wallace just like this. Pam, 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 pam. And his entourage subsequently rushed him to Cedars-Sinai Medical Center, where doctors performed an emergency thoracotomy. Or was it? Thoracotomy? Thoracotomy. What's a thoracotomy? Fake. But he was pronounced dead at 1:15 a.m. shortly after being shot. He was 24 years old. His autopsy, which had released 15 years after his death, showed that only the final shot was fatal. It entered through his right hip and struck his colon, liver, heart, and left lung before stopping in his left shoulder. Wallace's funeral Wallace's funeral at the it was held at the Frankie Campbell Funeral Chapel. Yeah, that's what it's held at. The Frank E. Campbell Funeral Chapel in Manhattan, New York, on March 18th of 1997. There were around 350 mourners at the funeral, including Lil C's, Queen Latifah, let's see, Queen Latifah, Mace, Faith Evans, Sisters with Voices, Jay-Z, his former manager Damon Dash, uh, one half of Gangstar DJ Premier, his girlfriend, who got featured in the video, Charlie Baltimore, uh, rapper and Chicago legend, The Brat, one half of Public Enemy, Flavor Flav, uh, or Mary J. Blige, Lil Kim, Run DMC, DJ Kool Herc, one half of Naughty by Nature, Stretch, Busta Rhymes, Salt and Pepper, DJ Spinderella. Well, her real name is Deidre Roper, Foxy Brown, and Sister Soldier. Let me get the name. Sister Soldier. David Dinkins, and Clive Davis. Let's see, get the name. Clive Davis have also attended the funeral. They have also attended the funeral. After the funeral, his body was later cremated, and the ashes were given to the family of Christopher George Latore Wallace, aka the Notorious B.I.G. But it's given to his mom instead. But it's given to his mother instead. Let's get the posthumous releases. Gotta be another hour banger. Shit. It's gotta be another hour banger. Shit. Battery full. On. 16 days after his death, Wallace's double disc second album was released and planned, as planned, like you call it. Originally titled Life After Death, Till Death Do Us Part, and later shortened to Life After Death. The album hit number one on the Billboard 200 charts after making a premature appearance at number 176 due to street date violations. The record album featured a much wider range of guests and producers. Yes, guests and producers than its predecessor. It gained strong reviews and in 2000 was certified diamond by the RIAA. Its lead single, "Hypnotize", was the last music video in which the last music video recording, that's what it is, the last music video recording in which Wallace would participate. His biggest chart success was with his follow up videos like More Money, More Problems, as featuring Sean Puffy Combs under the rap alias Puff Daddy, and Mason Beta goes under the rap alias Mace. Both singles reached number one on the Hot 100, making Wallace the first artist to achieve this feat posthumously. The third single, "Sky's the Limit", featuring the band 112, was noted for its use of children in the music video. The music video, directed by Spike Jonze. I think Spike Jonze was whose real name was Adam Spiegel. This guy's real name was I think his real name was Adam Spiegel. Adam Spiegel. He's known for doing work like commercials and films and music videos and skateboard videos and TV and all sorts of other things, who were used to portray Wallace as his contemporaries, including Combs, Lil Kim, and Busta Rhymes. Wallace was named Artist of the Year and "Hypnotize", the single of the year by Spin magazine in December of '97, right after Biggie died, right after Chris Wallace, Biggie had died. In mid 1997, Combs released his debut album. This is long before this shit. Or probably after that. It's probably after Biggie died. In mid 1997, Combs released his debut album "No Way Out", which featured Wallace on 5 songs, notably on the fifth single, "Victory." Victory, that was with I feel it was with Biggie Smalls and Busta Rhymes. That was with Biggie Smalls and Busta Rhymes. This picture, this album picture, it contained Combs there. It contains uh Puffy. It contains Puffy. There's Mace. There's Puffy. Mace. Black Rob. Rest in peace to Black Rob. He was in the picture. Uh Jada Kiss, Styles P, and Sheik Luch. Sheik Luch. So the most prominent single from the record album was I'll Be Missing You. That film was featuring Combs, Faith Evans, and 112, which was dedicated to Wallace's memory at the 1998 Grammy Awards. Man, I almost cried seeing that video years ago. Also, hold back. At the 1998 Grammy Awards, Life After Death and its first two singles received nominations in the rap category. The album award was won by Combs' No Way Out and I'll Be Missing You. Won the award. The category of Best Rap Performance by a duo or group in which More Money, More Problems was nominated. I almost teared. In 1996, Wallace started putting together a hip hop supergroup, The Commission. That's what he named it, The Commission, which consisted of himself, Jay-Z, Lil C's, Combs, and Charlie Baltimore. The Commission was mentioned by Wallace in the lyrics of What's Beef on Life After Death and Victory from No Way Out. But a Commission album was never completed. A track on duets, the final chapter, What You Want, The Commission, featuring Jay-Z, was based on the group. In December of 99, Bad Boy released Born Again. The album consisted of previously unreleased material mixed with new guest appearances, including many artists Wallace had never collaborated with in his lifetime. It gained some positive reviews, but received criticism for its unlikely pairings. The source describing it as compiling some of the most awkward collaborations of his career. Nevertheless, the album sold 2 million copies. Wallace appeared on Michael Jackson's 2001 Invincible. This album right here. Invincible. Over the course of time, his vocals were heard on hit songs as Foolish and Real as Niggas by Ashanti in 2002, and the song Running, Dying to Live. I think that came from Tupac Resurrection album. I think this came from a Tupac Resurrection soundtrack album. It's called Running. Dying to Live. With Shakur. It started with the late Tupac Shakur. The following year, in 2005, duets, the final chapter, continued the pattern started on Born Again, which criticized for the lack of significant vocals by Wallace on some of its songs. Its lead single, Nasty Girl. What's the NG means? Nasty Girl. That became Wallace's first UK #1 single. Combs and Latore Wallace have stated the album will be the last release, primarily featuring new material. The duet album The King and I, featuring Evans and the Notorious B.I.G, was released on May 19, 2017, which largely contained previously unreleased music. Here's songs that you had to hear anyway.
Jesus, the notorious just. Please us with your lyrical thesis. We just chillin', milk 'em, top billin', silkin', pure linen, me and little skis, Malibu sea breeze, dawn peas, palm trees, cats named Pablo, and milked out Diablo. The williest, bitches be the silliest. The more I smoke, the smaller the silliest. Room 112, where the players dwell, and stash more cash than Bert Fidel. Inhale, make you feel good like Tony. Pick up in your middle like Moni. You don't know.
And you can hear, and then you hear other songs that kind of There's another song that you had to hear from Life After Death. Is called "Niggas Bleed Just Like Us."
Please, I got kids to feed. I done seen you make niggas bleed. Nightmares this bitch don't need. Wrong, get the gasoline. This spot, we bout to blow this. Get the cash before the cops and Range Rover cats notice. Room 112, right by the staircase. Perfect place where they evacuate. They beat they fake. Wrong, pass the gasoline. The nigga pass me kerosene. Fuck it, it's flammable. My hunger is unexplainable. Strike the match. Just what I expected. The dread kid ejected.
I promise wasn't gonna play some music there, but I gotta play little snippets of that. The On You remix, that was Wallace, accompanied by the ad libs from Sean Puff Daddy Combs, uses ono onomatopoeic vocables and multi-syllabic rhymes on his 1996 collaboration with the R&B group 112. Niggas, it got shit. Niggas talk about this shit all the time. On You remix, that's out there. That's from the album, 112's album. Niggas Bleed, that came from Life After Death. It came from Wallace. It came from Wallace telling vivid stories about his everyday life as a criminal in Brooklyn. Let me read this again. A duet album, The King and I, featuring Evans and the Notorious B.I.G, was released on May 19th, 2017. May 19th, 2017, which largely contained previously unreleased music. So when we go there, let's go to this one. Wallace mostly rapped in a deep tone described by Rolling Stone as a thick, jaunty grumble, which went even deeper on Life After Death. He was often accompanied on songs with ad-libs from Sean Puffy Combs. Sean Puffy Combs in the Source's unsigned hype column. His style was described as cool, nasal, and filtered. And to bless his own material, All Music described Wallace as having a talent for piling multiple rhymes on top of one another in the quick succession. Time magazine wrote that he rapped with an ability to make multi-syllabic rhymes sound smooth, while Crims described his rhythmic style as effusive. Before starting a verse, Wallace sometimes used onomatopoeic vocables to warm up his voice. For example, at beginning of Hypnotize and Big Papa and What. That song was That song was he did that song with Method Man. That was from Ready to Die. After certain rhymes in songs such as My Downfall, Latif of Larynx, was it Latif of Latrix, was it Latif of Latrix, notes that Wallace had intense and complex flows. Fredro Starr, everybody know Fredro Starr, right? Of Onyx. He said that he was the master of the flow, and Bishop Lamont has stated that he mastered all the hemispheres of the music. Wallace often was also often used the single line rhyme scheme to add variety and interest to his flow. Big Daddy Kane suggested that Wallace did not need a large vocabulary to impress listeners, stating that he just put his words together in a slick way, and it worked real good for him. Wallace was known to compose lyrics in his head rather than writing them down on paper. In a similar way to Jay Z, that he would occasionally vary from his usual style on Player Hater. He sang in a slow falsetto on Notorious Thugs, the song called Notorious Thugs that he did with Bone Thugs and Harmony, his collaboration with them. He modified his style to match the rapid rhyme flow of the group. See the themes and lyrics that you see in here. Wallace, man, his lyrical topics and themes include mafioso tales like niggas bleed just like us, his drug dealing past like 10 crack commandments, materialistic bragging, hypnotized, humor, just playing dreams. That song was a song like just playing dreams. They got a club mix for it. I think Biggie did rhymes about. It's all about Biggie rhyming about. Listen to song dreams. Yeah, like I wish I'd take more pussy and stitches. Now fuck RuPaul before I fuck these ugly ass escape bitches. And he talk about Raymond Simone. And he talk about when he rapping about Raymond Simone. Raymond Simone. He rapping about Shantae Moore and Regina Bell, Patti LaBelle, Mary J. Blige, Terry and Monica, All J, Escape, RuPaul, Shantae Moore. He rapping about everybody. All the shit he rhyming about he rhymed about I ripped Shantae Moore pussy and stitches and I fucked RuPaul before I fucked these ugly ass escape bitches. That's what he rhyming about. Yeah, and the romance, Me and My Bitch. In 2004, Rolling Stone named him as one of the few young male songwriters in any pop style, writing the credible love songs that was in the book of How to Rap. Rapper Gorilla Black is Gorilla Black right here. He described how Wallace was able to both glorify the upper echelon and make you feel his struggle. The New York Times journalist Turi, who had wrote in '94 that Wallace's lyrics mixed in autobiographical details about crime and violence with emotional honesty. Marriott of the New York Times, that's Rob Marriott, uh, of the New York Times wrote in '97 that Wallace's lyrics were not strictly autobiographical and that he had a knack for exaggeration that increased sales. Wallace had wrote that his debut album was a big pie, with each slice indicating a different point in his life involving bitches and niggas. Involving bitches and niggas. From the beginning of the end. Rolling Stone described Ready to Die as a contrast of bleak street visions and being full of high spirited fun, bringing the pleasure principle back to hip hop. All music wrote of a sense of doom in some of his songs. In the New York Times noted that some songs are being laced with paranoia. Wallace described himself as feeling broke and depressed when he made his debut. The final song on Wallace's album Ready to Die was Suicidal Thoughts, featured his character contemplating suicide and concluded with him doing it. On Life After Death, Wallace's lyrics went deeper. Crims explained how upbeat, dance-oriented tracks, you know, alternate with reality rap songs on the record, and suggested that he was going pimp. He was going pimp through some of the lyrical topics of the former, Double XL magazine wrote that Wallace revamped his image. He changed it though through the portrayal of himself being the album between the albums, going from mid-level hustler on his debut to quote unquote drug lord on his second album, his second album, you know. Uh, well, it was Life After Death. They saying that he was going from mid-level hustler in the East Coast on his debut to being this drug lord on his second album. You know, all music have wrote that the success of Ready to Die is mostly due to Wallace's skill as a storyteller. In '94, Rolling Stone described his ability to in this technique as a painting a sonic picture so vibrant that you're transported right to the scene. On Life After Death, he notably demonstrated this skill on the song I Got a Story to Tell, creating a story as a rap for the first half of the song and then retelling the same story for his boys in conversation form. There's his legacy. Considered one of the greatest rappers of all time, Wallace was described by AllMusic as the savior of the East Coast hip hop. The Source magazine named him the greatest rapper of all time in the 150th issue. In its yeah, in 2002, in 2003, when Double XL magazine asked several hip hop artists to list their five favorite MCs, Wallace appeared on more rappers lists than anyone else had. In 2006, MTV ranking him at the number three on their list of the greatest MCs of all time, calling him possibly the most skillful ever on the mic. Editors of About.com ranking him at number three on their list of the top 50 MCs of our time, from late 80s to late 2000s. In 2012, the Source ranking him number three on their list of the top 50 lyrical leaders of all time. Rolling Stone referred to him as the greatest rapper that ever lived. The greatest rapper that ever lived. That in 2015, the Billboard named Wallace. They named Wallace as the greatest rapper of all time. That's the same. His lyrics have been sampled and quoted by a variety of artists, including Jay-Z, 50 Cent. I'll put his name. Artists like Jay-Z, 50 Cent. I think we'll put the name. 50 Cent. Alicia Keys, Fat Joe. I think put his name there. Nelly, Ja Rule, Eminem, Lil Wayne, The Game, Clinton Sparks, Michael Jackson, rest in peace, and Usher. At the 2005 MTV movie, I forgot. Let me revert back. And Usher Raymond, the fourth. At the 2005 MTV Video Music Awards, Combs and Snoop Dogg paid tribute to Wallace by hiring an orchestra to play the vocals from Juicy and Warning played on the arena speakers. At the 2005 VH1 Hip Hop Honors, a tribute to Wallace headlined the show. Wallace had begun to promote a clothing line called Brooklyn Mint, which was to produce plus-size clothing, but fell dormant after he died in '97. In 2004, his managers Mark Pitts and Wayne Barrow launched the clothing line with the help from Jay-Z, selling T-shirts with images of Wallace on them. A portion of the proceeds go to the Christopher Wallace Foundation. That's what it's named. That's what it's named. The Christopher Wallace Foundation. And to Jay-Z's Sean Carter Scholarship Foundation. In 2005, Boletta Wallace's mother, hired branding and licensing agency Wicked Cow Entertainment to guide the estate's licensing efforts. Wallace branded products on the market. Yeah, Wallace branded products on the market include action figures, blankets, and cell phone content. The Christopher Wallace Memorial Foundation. That's what it's named. The Christopher Wallace Memorial Foundation holds an annual black tie dinner, the B.I.G. Night Out. That means the B.I.G. Night Out. Uh, to raise funds for children's school equipment and to honor Wallace's memory for this particular event, because it is a children's schools. It's a children's schools charity. BIG is also said to stand for books instead of guns. There is a large portrait mural of Wallace of as Mao Zedong of Fulton Street in Brooklyn, a half mile west from Wallace's old block. Wallace's old block, his old neighborhood. A fan petition to have the corner of Fulton Street and St. James Place near Wallace's childhood home renamed in his honor, garnering support from local businesses and attracting more than 560 signatures. A large portrait of Wallace features prominently in the Netflix series uh, Luke Cage, due to the fact that he served as muse for the creation of the Marvel Cinematic Universe's version of Marvel Comics character Cornell Cottonmouth Stokes. In 2018, a movie chronicling LAPD Detective Russell Poole's investigation of Wallace's murder was released. City of Lies is based on journalist Randall Sullivan's book Labyrinth, and explores the corruption of and cover-ups within LAPD that surround Wallace's case. Boletta Wallace believed that Poole was honest and wasn't given the chance to do his job. She supported the movie by appearing as herself. In August 2020, Wallace's son CJ released a house remix of his father's hit Big Papa. March of 2021, this before Shock G have died. This before DMX, Black Wild, Shock G have died. And including my aunt. Yeah, March 2021. That goes back there. That was like 2 years later. March 2021, Netflix documentary. It's called Biggie. It's called Biggie. I got a story to tell. It was executive produced by his mother, Boletta Wallace, who was a former preschool teacher. You know, and Combs focuses on B.I.G's life before he rose to fame as the king of New York. That's used from a movie. I've been mentioning this earlier, and features unprecedented access granted by the Wallace estate. Notorious is a 2009 biographical film about Wallace and his life that stars rapper Jamal Woodard. Stars rapper Jamal Gravy Woodard as Wallace. The film was directed by George Tillman Jr. and distributed by Fox Searchlight Pictures. Producers including Sean Combs, Wallace's former managers Wayne Barrow and Mark Pitts, as well as Boletta Wallace. On January 16, 2009, the movie's debut at the Grand 18 Theater in Greensboro, North Carolina, was postponed after a man was shot in a parking lot before the show. The film received mixed reviews and grossed over $44 million worldwide in early October 2007. Open casting calls for the role of Wallace began. Actors, rappers, and unknowns all tried out. Beanie Siegel, he auditioned for the role, but he was not picked. Sean Kingston claimed, who have claimed it? Sean Kingston, uh, the Jamaican rapper, the Jamaican singer who sings songs like "Beautiful Girls." He claimed that he would play the role, but the producers of Fox Searchlight Pictures had already denied it. Eventually, it was announced that rapper Jamal Gravy Woodard was chosen to play Wallace, while Wallace's son, Christopher Wallace Jr., had to be CJ to play Wallace as a child. Other cast members include Angela Bassett as Boletta Wallace, Derek Luke as Sean Combs, Anthony Smith as Faith Evans, Naturi Norton as Lil Kim, Anthony Mackie, oh, sorry, Anthony Mackie as Tupac Shakur. Bad Boy also released a soundtrack album to the film on January 13th, 2009. It contains many it contains many of Wallace's hit singles, including "Hypnotize" and "Juicy," as well as rarities. Wallard would reprise his role as Biggie Smalls in the 2017 Tupac Shakur biopic "All Eyes on Me." So, yep, I think Benny Boom had wanted to start directing the movie. Uh, Jeremy Hapt and Eddie Gonzalez and Stephen Bagaturian did the writing. This is all the discography of came from Wallace. His stuff right here. Yeah, he did two albums between 94 and 97. He did some collaboration with Junior Mafia in 95. A post collaboration album that was for The King and I. There's two posthumous collaboration albums here. Um, that's almost goes for there's a it's a posthumous collaboration album. There's one there. There's two compilation albums here. There's two compilation albums here. Uh, was Born Again and Duets, the final chapter. They got filmography here. Just a little filmography, some documentaries. They got filmography. They had the show. They had Biggie being on the interview. Robin Reason, they had Biggie on there. Biggie and Tupac documentary. They have archival footage. Tupac Resurrection. They have all the archival footage. The Bigger Than Life documentary that had archival footage. Notorious that had archival footage. All Eyes on Me had the same thing. Uh, Quincy that had the same old thing. So the Biggie Life of Notorious B.I.G. Uh, they have the archival footage too, same as Biggie's "I Got a Story to Tell" documentary. They have that too. They have that too. But these two films don't even have archival footage. But those documentaries, those these documentaries already have archival footages. But that movie has an archival footage. And these two movies here, they have archival footage. The Quincy documentary has that. Guess who had all the archival footage? The 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 Biggie documentaries, the Quincy documentary, you know, the All Eyes on Me movie, the Notorious movie, you know, Bigger Than Life, Tupac Resurrection, and Biggie and Tupac. So it's just this one. It's got TV appearances there that I ain't get a chance to read. He was on New York Undercover. Biggie did his guest appearance on New York Undercover in '95. He was on the Martin Show. He was on the Martin Show. It was in September of '95 where he had to go do a guest appearance on there. But the TV appearance, the TV see the little murder mysteries, they have archival footage in it. It's all this stuff here. All right. Oh yeah. About to go into I'm gonna finish the stream. It's almost close to 2 hours. It's like over an hour. It's nearly about 2 hours. It was nearly an hour. I'm gonna get back with y'all on get back with you viewers here on YouTube. I'm gonna do a live show. I'm gonna go do a live show based on the birthday celebration of Brian William Pillman. Okay, we're gonna go straight into the birthday celebration of Brian Pillman. This Brian, when he met Melanie. I think it's right after they tied the knot in May of 1993. I feel that not me in 1993. I think they have tied the knot in like 1993. I think it was March or May. So, well, we'll go get back with y'all on the birthday celebration of Brian Pillman. You know, born May 21st, 1962. Died on October the 6th, or I think it was October 6th or the 5th. Probably October the 5th. Let me tell you. Let me rewrite this shit. Let me write this shit. We're gonna go right back with y'all on the birthday celebration of Brian Pillman, born in May 21st, 1962. May 21st, 1962. and died on October 5th, 1997. He died. He was found dead in his hotel room. We'll go. And this live show is the legacy of the notorious one, Notorious B.I.G. Um, and this live show here is dedicated to the memory of the Notorious B.I.G. Christopher Wallace, born in May 21st, 1972, died on March 9th, 1997. Rest in peace, Big. You will be missed. You may be gone, but you will not. You will never, ever, ever be forgotten. In your memory, your legacy will still live on. Rest easy, Notorious One. Rest easy.